by here over these last month or so?
Yeah, I think you're always pleased and you're always wanting a little bit more, right? I mean, that's the beauty of this time is you're trying to establish a foundation of fundamentals, techniques, alignment, assignment, right? I mean, we're not really judging as much, oh, did he make the play or not? It's more, hey, can we break the huddle, or can we get a call in and go execute? And I think you're fairly pleased with where you're at right now.
Travis had a chance to switch jerseys there at the end, go out with the defense. Was that just a little bit of what to expect?
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely what we have to build towards for training camp, and then obviously in season, knowing that during practice he's going to have to do both. And so, he wants to do it. It's not as if it's something where he can't handle. He wants to go and do that more. He wants more, and that's a good thing. But ultimately, we have to also protect him from himself at times as well, and make sure we get out of this phase healthy. But that is absolutely the plan moving forward.
What's your message to the guys now that everything's sort of wrapping up? They're about to go on break.
The work doesn't stop. Go enjoy family and get away from it a little bit. But we've got a lot of work to do this summer. We've got to come back in the best possible physical shape that we can be in coming into training camp, not use training camp to get in shape. That's got to be something that we're hitting the ground running and able to just go once we get in here. And so, and they've got a lot of studying to do, right? They've got a lot of material to continue to cover so that, again, we're not starting back at square one when we come back in training camp. We will, in fact, go back to install one, but install one may be a little heavier than install one this spring. So ultimately they've got some work to do this summer, and that was the message.
Your first off-season program as a head coach, just what was that experience like now that's all wrapped up?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it's the highs and lows you ride a little bit as a head coach in terms of offense doing well, defense, special teams, all that. But in terms of the connection with the guys and getting to know them a little bit more on a personal level, and ultimately to gain trust, right? That's what this whole phase was for us as coaches, to implement a foundation, but also get to know these guys a little bit more on a personal level, so that we gain a little bit more trust. Ultimately, they're not going to just go do what you say because you're a coach, right? We have to build a relationship and a foundation in order for those guys to trust us.
Going back to rookie minicamp, 16 sessions out here. Did it go as expected, or did something surprise you? Or
no surprises. It was very much what you would expect, just from learning, growing. But I have seen some improvement for sure out of a number of players, right? I don't have a true specific person that really stands out like, oh my God, there was huge strides here. But you just saw like a gradual understanding, gradual guys getting more comfortable in this setting, especially some of the younger guys. The speed of this game, practice is a lot faster than what they've maybe been used to at their college. And, the guys are picking it all up, right? And if they don't know, that's been the cool part, is they haven't been afraid to ask. You see these guys up in our coaches' offices all the time, every morning. I mean, Devin Lloyd's in here every single day, right? These guys they're trying to learn and get as much out of it as possible.
What will you and your staff now work on until training camp begins?
Yeah, so continuing to trim the install and adjust our installs and say, okay, what do we really want to focus on in install 1 through 3? What do we want the next 3 installs to be? We typically go in 3s because that's how we'll kind of practice in a lot of ways with an off day. So tweak some of those, and then also getting a lot of the seasonal prep organized with whether it be the video staff, analytics, personnel. We've had a lot of those meetings already over the last few weeks, but just making sure that those things are getting a little bit tightened up and ready to go for training camp.
Good. With Trevor, I know you've done it a few times already this offseason, but could you just talk about his growth from where he kind of started in your system to where he is now?
Yeah, I think just calling a play, right? Like you go out here on day 1 of phase 2 and you're calling plays, and whether it be a call it and run it play, or a play with 2 calls, or a play with 2 calls and maybe a third adjustment, just his ability to go in and command the huddle, call plays, communicate to his teammates, make protection adjustments. I mean, our defense, like I mentioned the other day, has thrown so many different blitz packages at us that multiplicity is great. It'll be really good for our foundation this fall, but he has to think every single play. Like, there's not a ton of plays that he can just shut his brain off and go hand it off. So that has been a huge kind of adjustment in some ways, but also growth, where he's shown the ability to go get us in the right plays, can to the right call, and make the proper calls. I think that's where you've seen the most growth.
Do you have a better feel for what you can get out of Dammy Brown?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think when you watched him last year and you saw a little bit more of a ball in hand / deep threat, and you didn't really see him work the intermediate that much. And I think over the course of this spring, Trevor and him have gained a little bit of a chemistry on some of those, intermediate in-breakers, curls, maybe outcuts. I just think that they have a little bit of a chemistry, and that was part of the selling point to have him come here was, man, we really want to continue to diversify your route tree and have you do more, right? You're not just a screen, jet sweep, vertical threat. We want to continue to diversify his route tree, and I think that those two have built a little bit of a chemistry out here.
So when you first get here, you probably have an idea about what you want your offense to look like and what you think it'll look like, but after you go through spring, does that change markedly? No?
Not so much, but I think that really comes when the pads come on, because like out here, we're not really trying to emphasize gap schemes too much, because that's when those collisions can occur, when you're pulling people, trapping, whamming, pulling two. I mean, that's where a lot of those things that occur that aren't really supposed to occur in this phase, right? So we're trying to stay within the rules, but continue to get better at the zone game, right? That's obviously a little bit more of a safe run in this phase, but also something that we want to be able to do, right? Everybody runs zone in the NFL game. So I think today was actually some of our better hits on zone that we've had a couple better ones yesterday, but I think once you get into training camp, the run game will have to diversify a little bit more in terms of, all right, we got the pads on, where are our toss cracks now coming in? I'm not going to go crack one of our players on our team. So those kind of schemes are a little bit more, we've practiced them in walkthrough settings so that we're getting it installed and we're getting it repped so we have some muscle memory, but ultimately that'll come a little bit more in training camp.
Yesterday you talked about wanting a cleaner day from your offense, and I think today I heard Camp curse a little too many times with completed passes. Do you feel like you got that cleaner day from offense?
Definitely. Yeah, I thought it was just less balls on the ground in general, less procedures. There was less flags on the ground today thrown by our lovely referees that came from the NFL. It was great. Once those refs come, NFL guys come, it's real. They're throwing the real flags, and it was great having those guys in the building and hearing their reasons why, and so that definitely helped clean it up a little bit, and specifically offensively, I felt like it was just a better overall day. We wanted to leave here with good momentum and confidence that these guys can go and have and take through the off-season program.
Heavy emphasis on special teams today. Yep. Your thoughts on Cam Little and what he brings?
Man, he's a stud. You should see him hit a golf ball. I mean, it's like the same that you see out here. I mean, he's explosive. The ball jumps off his foot. He's got multiple different kicks in his repertoire in the kickoff game as well, which obviously we know with the new rule changes will be really imperative for us to be able to take advantage of some of those rules with the different type of kicks and styles of play. So he's been great, been really consistent, and he's really fun to be around.
Your first Father's Day in Florida, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. We're heading out of here on Sunday here, so we'll be flying. We're traveling a little bit up north and going overseas to go hit the golf ball a little bit. So it'll be cool. I mean, it's always nice to be with the family, get away from it for a few days, but also it's really hard to get away from it in the mind.
Really good at golf?
Like a 9. Yeah, a 9. So I mean, I can hit it. I can't putt. But usually it's something that you practice, and I don't have much time to practice it. I like to drive. I like to hit irons. I don't love to putt or chip. Played the yards last week, though. That was cool.
With Travis, I know obviously you've talked about him a lot, but just after spending the last 2 months with him, where do you think he's grown the most?
I think he's physically grown. I mean, I think he you looked at, we had the weight room goals and accomplishments that we had this spring, and he was up there with some of the guys that have put on the most muscle mass since getting here this spring. So I think I've seen a little bit of a physical growth, specifically in his upper half, and also just, I mean, it's a lot of volume, man. It's a lot of volume. This is not an offense specifically that just go out, line up, and play, right? There's a lot of shifts and motions and 2 play calls, sometimes 3 calls. So it is a lot. And then him having to obviously do defense as well. So, you see the type of guy that he is. He's in here early, he stays late, and he wants to work. He loves the game, and the growth will continue. I think we'll see a little bit more of a jump once we get into training camp as well.
Pretty good?
All good?
You just mean throughout all spring and OTS? Yeah, I thought it was really good. Some good days, some days were a little sloppier, and that's part of it, especially a new system, a lot of new guys. Everyone's playing together kind of for the first time for a lot of us. So overall, I thought it was really good. I thought we learned a lot, took some really big steps of improvement throughout OTAs, and I'm proud of the guys, how they worked. Everyone, worked their tail off all off season, really pushed ourselves. There's a lot of times where this is a period where some people can kind of take it easy, and I felt like every day we really came out here, busted our ass and really were intentional about what we were doing.
Liam said the sleeve was just because of general soreness. Could you just talk about that?
Yeah, just, you got to think about it. I hadn't thrown before OTAs since December, so, December. So it was about 4 months of not throwing, and that's like, I don't know the last time, I couldn't tell you the last time I didn't throw for 4 months. I guess 4 years ago when I got surgery. So I think just going from that to, I started throwing a couple weeks before we started the off-season program, but then we jumped into practice and heavy volume, and I think just over time, obviously you got to adjust and got to get in shape for that. So just a little bit of soreness, the compression helps just relieve some of that, but that's all it is, so nothing I'm concerned about.
Where do you feel like you've maybe grown the most within the system over the course of OTAs and everything?
Like I've said, changed some of my footwork, so I feel a lot more comfortable with that. Just some subtle changes. I think footwork, my eyes, just where I'm starting, using my eyes as a weapon and manipulating the defense. I thought there was some great stuff on tape throughout the spring of me being able to do that and the ways I wanted to. So that was a big step. Just overall being comfortable with the system, not thinking as much. When you hear a play call, it's not like I'm straining to think about what I'm doing. At first when you get the system, that you're kind of doing that, but towards the end it felt a lot more second nature and felt like I could just go and play and communicate and move fast.
What's it been like working with Spencer Whipple?
He's been awesome. Just has a lot of great insight. He's really smart. We have a great relationship. It's been fun working with him, and love his personality, very even keel, calm demeanor. That's always something I appreciate in a QB coach, so that's important to me. And he's been great to work with. I think the alignment between him and Liam and Grant and everybody and myself is right on point. We're all on the same page, and even if there's things where we might see it a little differently, the conversation and dialogue in the meeting rooms has been awesome, and I feel like we always get to a place where we're on the same page, which is really important.
How do you see Travis Hunter sort of grow, I guess, throughout the course of OTAs?
He's grown a lot. There's a lot obviously being thrown on him, being a high pick, playing both ways. There's a lot, I can understand being drafted high in the expectations, but as far as I didn't play both ways, so that's another world. I think he's done a great job. Obviously, this is going to be a big opportunity for him during this break. You want to get your mind right and be ready to go and be rejuvenated for camp, but you also got to really be prepared and be ready. And he's got some time to kind of get in his playbook and learn the system, because rookies have a tough job coming in when we're already halfway through the install. So they come in and half the playbook's in and they're just jumping in on a random, so they don't get to start off like all of us do, kind of with the softballs and work their way in. They jump in right in the middle of it. So I'm excited to spend some time with him this summer. We plan on getting together quite a bit and throwing, getting some timing down, but also just talking through the system. And I got no concerns about him. I'm really excited just to see him continue to get better. And he's special player on both sides of the ball.
The common thought is that you can't learn anything about the offensive line until the pads go on. What are your thoughts on that? Did you learn anything over these 13 practices?
Yeah, I agree with that a little bit. I think not totally, though. I think it's still important just for communication, identification with the defense, working games, passing off games. Yes, the physical side of some of the one-on-one blocks, I think the defensive line is always at an advantage when you're in no pads. It's hard. There's nothing to grab onto. There's nothing to really anchor in on. So that's difficult. But as far as just the mental part of the game, your steps, your footwork, getting to linebackers, being physical, violent with your hands, all that stuff, I think the guys have been awesome. They've been great. And yes, there's some stuff to clean up, but that's for all of us. So, I'm excited. Obviously, you learn a lot more once the pads go on, 100%, but I think those guys took some big steps. And like I said, the system puts a lot on those guys up front to really communicate and know what they're doing, and there's a lot of adjustments, and it gives us a lot of answers, but you have to know it, and I think those guys have done a great job of being prepared.
What do you like about what Dyami Brown can do in this offense?
Said Dyami?
Yeah.
Man, I've been super impressed with him. His speed, obviously, is a threat down the field, which is important as a receiver, can stretch the field, but also he's a really, really smart football player. He's picked up the system really quickly. He's always in the right spot. I think that's something about him. I don't know if you guys watched plenty of practices. He's gotten the ball a lot because it seems like he's always in the right spot. He's always has a feel for the zone, like where to sit, where to throttle, kind of those voids. And I just think he's really smart, and I'm really excited adding him to the offense, to the weapons that we already have. It's exciting.
In terms of the rookie running backs, what has Tootin and Allen shown you, if anything?
Now, obviously, Basil's fast. He can fly, and that's a weapon. And I think just for those guys, like I said, coming in and you're learning so much and so much is changing, and just for them to get comfortable so they can go play. Running back is such a feel position, and you got to get in the flow of a game, and without pads it can be tough. And so it's hard to say, but I've been impressed with those guys, just how they picked it up. Like I said, Basil's speed, I think LeQuint's been awesome. And pass protection, it seems like he really understands it. Great hands, hard worker. I mean, I've been impressed with just his attitude and the way he carries himself.
Pass catchers, obviously. Just how has that been, getting down the timing and the reps with them?
It's been good. There's things where it's not always perfect, and especially at practice when you first are learning guys' timing and how they run routes and trying to get your anticipation down. Like, I love to throw with anticipation, so I'm not going to come out here and practice waiting on guys to come out of breaks. Like, that's not realistic. In the games, you're throwing it early, you're throwing it before guys break. So I think sometimes you leave the field, sometimes you're like, it wasn't the cleanest because maybe you missed some, or maybe the timing was off, or a guy took an extra step. But that stuff, once that happens, you learn from it. If you just wait on guys to come out of breaks every time, every ball's going to look good. Then in a game when you have to throw with anticipation, you're going to miss a lot of them. So I think this is the time to really nail down that timing and work on it instead of waiting. So I think overall I'd improved drastically over the offseason. There's still some stuff that we can work on, but we have a few weeks to do it before camp, and then obviously camp. So.
A couple more.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
How excited are you for your first Father's Day?
Really excited. Yeah, obviously a first Father's Day for me. It's just been the coolest thing, becoming a dad, and just the perspective change that I've had from that, and it's definitely balanced my life out in a lot of ways. Something that's hard is I feel like my mind is always going, and you go home and you can't take any of that stuff home. Trying to be the best husband and dad you can be. It's really helped me kind of compartmentalize a little bit and be able to go home and just be a dad and enjoy that. So instead of taking stuff home with me. So it's been good. It's just incredible seeing her grow up, and she's starting to crawl and change. It's just crazy. I'm sure as all you guys that are parents out there know, but it's awesome.
Speaking of any vacation plans doing this month?
Yeah, we have a couple, family trips, stuff with really both of our families, trying to get some downtime, and that's really about it. Those are the big things, and so we got some stuff that try to get a little bit of time with them before it gets crazy, and once training camp starts, you're not seeing the family much. So it'll be good to spend some time with our families. Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.